starting over here on the end with 24-year-old Sebastian. And then we have our youngest of the group. This is 8-year-old Zeke. The teenager of the group is going to be 17-year-old Cosmo. And then last but certainly not least, we have Sebastian's son. This is 9-year-old Chopper. Well, we would like to thank you guys so much for coming out and joining us today and allowing us to share our dolphin family with you. And we hope that by the time you leave the park and go home to your friends, families, and communities, you'll tell them about all of the dangers that marine mammals face out in their natural habitats today. But if you were just paying attention, you would have noticed that I did in fact just call our dolphins mammals. However, many people do mistake them as fish, seeing as they spend their entire lives in the water. But since they are mammals, just like you and I'd like to go over all the different characteristics that we share. Starting out with the fact that as mammals, we all give live birth instead of laying eggs. Now, a mother dolphin is going to have a pregnancy of around 54 weeks or 1 year. They're going to give birth to a single dolphin calf that's going to be about 30 to 40 pounds and about 3 feet in length. And it looks like our boys are rolling over to show you guys that just like you and I, they do in fact have belly buttons. Now, with live birth comes the fact that we all nurse from our mothers. Now, a dolphin calf is going to nurse from their mother for the first 1 to 3 years of their life. They do so by manipulating their tongue into a straw-like formation so that they can latch onto their mother's mammary glands and get all of that nutrient-rich milk and none of the surrounding saltwater. This might seem a little odd for dolphins, but as mammals, we all have hair at some point in our lives. But if you're looking down at our boys right now, you're probably thinking, I do not see a single hairy dolphin. And you would be correct as of right now. But you see, dolphin calves are actually born with hair in the form of whiskers located on the very end of their bottlenose beak. Scientists believe that these are used to help them locate their mother's mammary glands, but they're going to fall right out a few days after they're born. Now, this next characteristic is one that dolphins do a little differently than you and I, and this is how we breathe air using our lungs. You see, dolphins use that small opening you can see located on the very end of their head, which is called the blowhole. Now, it's situated right on top of their melon because this allows them to quickly come up and get a deep breath of air before diving back down and holding their breath for up to 7.5 minutes. Now, this breath is so fast, it actually only takes about a fraction of a second. So I'm going to turn the stage over to the boys as they show off just how quick that breath can be. Nice sneezes, boys. Now, a common misconception about dolphins is people think that all those whistles, clicks, and squeals that they make come from vocal cords because that's what we have as humans. But you see, that's actually not true. Instead, all of those noises are going to come from that same exact blowhole, and they make them by manipulating air sacs around the top of that blowhole. And earlier, right before the show, a little fishy swam up and told me that we actually have a birthday in the audience today. So our boys have prepared a very happy birthday song to our birthday person, Savannah. Well, on behalf of everyone here at the Gulfarium, have a very happy birthday, Savannah. Now, this last characteristic that we all share as mammals is the fact that we are all warm-blooded. In fact, humans and dolphins have a very similar internal body temperature of the mid to upper 90s. Dolphins also have a very thick blubber layer that is a lot denser than the fat that we have as humans. Now, in those cold winter months, this blubber layer is going to get a lot thicker so that they stay nice and warm. But as the water heats up in the summer, it's actually going to thin down so that they don't overheat. Now, this is pretty hard for you guys to see in the water, so it looks like we are going to be inviting one of our stars to come up here on the dock to show off that blubber layer for you guys. Now, this is a very common behavior that we're going to ask of our dolphins once per week so that we can get an accurate weight on them. Good job, Sebastian. Well, it's at this point in our show, I'd like to answer a commonly asked question we get here every single day at the Gulfarium, and that is, how do you train your dolphins to do all those different behaviors that we see during your shows? Well, the answer is that we use a process known as operant conditioning, or just learning through consequences. Now, what this means is that if I ask one of our dolphins on a behavior and they give me the correct response, we make sure to give them a lot of reinforcement to let them know that that was correct, and we'd like to see that again in the future. But if we ask for a behavior and they don't give us the right response, that's completely okay. Everything we do here is 100% voluntary, so we're just going to take a 3 to 4 second pause before asking for that behavior again, or just moving on to a different behavior. Now, to show this off for you guys today, we're going to be doing a training session right here on the dock, and we're going to show you how we are training Chopper's dorsal speed swim behavior. Now, you might be wondering how we build up to a behavior as complicated as a dorsal speed swim, and we actually break it down into successive approximations or just baby steps. Now, the first thing we're going to train all of our dolphins is called a target, and this is where we're going to ask our dolphins to put their bottlenose beaks in the open palm of a trainer's hand. Now, with this target hand, we can ask for a few different behaviors, such as a head nod yes, a head shake no, or even moving around in a circle for a very adorable dolphin-style hula. We can also use what is called a target pole, which you can see our trainer Joanna holding on the other side of the habitat. Now, this will actually expand outwards so that we can actually use it to reach further into the habitat than we would be able to with just our own hand. This allows us to give more direction to our animals. And it looks like we are all set up for Chopper's dorsal speed swim behavior, so let's go ahead and focus on in. Now, what you're seeing happening is our trainer over here in the alcove, Maddie, is giving him that signal, which lets him know exactly which behavior he's about to go on. So what we want him to do is to take off going towards his right, and as he goes, we're going to use that target pole to give him some directions on where he needs to go. Ideally, we want his dorsal fin to be out of the water, but we can also take this in baby steps by mainly working on speed and then eventually building up. Now, that was a pretty quick look at all those fins and flippers from Cosmo there, but don't worry, I'm going to break it down for you guys one by one so that you can get a better understanding of them all. Starting out with that dorsal fin that you can see on the very top of their back. Now, this is used to help stabilize them a lot like a keel on a boat. Now, it's called a fin because it actually does not contain any bones and is instead made up of connective tissue, just like what we have in our nose or our ears. A really cool fact about this dorsal fin is that it is completely unique to each individual dolphin. So no two dolphins are going to have the same pattern on their dorsal fin, just like how no two humans have the same fingerprints. So we challenge you while you're in our underground viewing area throughout the day to see if you can tell our dolphins apart just by that dorsal fin alone. Now we're going to move down to our dolphins' pectoral flippers. I did in fact just say flippers this time because these actually do contain bone. In fact, if you were to take an x-ray of our dolphins' pectoral flippers, you would notice 5 bone digits, just like what we have in our hands or our feet. Now, these are really good for asking for some applause from you guys, or just waving hello to our audiences. But they're also what make dolphins so well known for all those different lightning quick stops and sudden turns. Well, now we're going to move down to the very end of our dolphins to their tail fins or flukes. Now, I said flukes plural because there's actually 2 of them connected in the middle by what is known as the median notch. Now, connected to these flukes is the powerhouse of our dolphins, also known as the peduncle. Now, this is the strongest and most muscular region of our dolphins, and it's used in a common hunting technique called a tail lock. This is where our dolphins are going to come to the surface of the water and smack those flukes so hard that they'll actually stun all of the surrounding prey, making it that much easier to gobble right up. But it's with the true power of that peduncle that our dolphins can reach burst speeds of 22 miles per hour and can get their whole entire bodies up and out of the water for a better look at all of their surroundings. Well, earlier I told you guys about how we train our dolphins, but now I'd like to tell you about why we train them. And this is so that they can voluntarily participate in their own veterinary care, or what we call husbandry morning right here on the dock. But of course, I cannot do this on my own, so I'm going to ask you guys to help me give a very warm welcome to our Dolphin star, Paisley. So you're going to follow me right down over here because you're going to be hanging out with our trainer, LEAH, as well as Sebastian. So you can kneel right down onto that mat. Awesome. So like we said, Paisley, you are actually going to help out with these physical exams because you are our honorary veterinarian for today. So the first thing that we ask all of our dolphins is to go into a few different layouts. Now, dolphins do not have hands like you and I, so instead they interact with each other as well as their environment by using their mouths. It's because of this that we like to just check over their bodies to make sure that they don't have any unusual marks that they didn't have there the night before. All right, Paisley, you're getting a chance to touch Sebastian, which a lot of people in our audience probably haven't done before. So do you have a description of what he feels like? He's really soft. That's a wonderful description. You see, a lot of people say that dolphins are very soft or smooth, and this is because they actually exfoliate their skin every 2 hours. All right, Paisley, so we're going to switch up your job description real quick and turn you into our dolphin dentist. So LEAH's got Sebastian's mouth open right there, so I want you to look in and count every single one of his teeth, okay? All right, time is up. How many teeth did you count? A lot of teeth. Now that is correct. Atlantic bottlenose dolphins actually have anywhere from 72 to 104 cone-shaped teeth in their mouth. Now that's a lot of teeth, but they don't use those to chew at all, and instead use them to grip onto slippery fish before swallowing them down whole. Now this last part of our physical exam is the most important layout that we can train, and it's called a fluke present. Now it's in this position that we can actually get a voluntary blood draw. This is where we can make sure that our dolphins are just as healthy on the inside as they appear to be on the outside. And what we want from our dolphins is for them to be nice and calm as somebody that they don't see every single day touches those tail flukes. All right, well, Paisley, do you think that Sebastian's doing a wonderful job? I definitely agree. Well, what do you think we could give to Sebastian to let him know he's doing such a good job? A fish! That is a wonderful idea. Well, I want you to hold on to that fish really tight, okay? And you're our expert for today, so I have no doubt you know exactly what kind of fish that is, right? Sure, and that's okay, because it's your first day on the job, so I'll help you out just this once, okay? So if you look in at this fish right here, you see that? Yeah, so that right there is just a dead fish. And luckily, it is in fact his favorite kind, so go ahead and toss it right in. Awesome job. Well, Paisley, now you're going to notice that we created quite a fishy situation for you, and I mean that seriously. Why don't you go ahead and smell your hand? Oh, it's gross. But luckily, LEAH and I have a trainer trick to help you get rid of that smell, so just copy after us, okay? You're going to clap your hands together. You're going to run them together really fast to get rid of those scales. Wave them on up in the air, and then just wipe them off on your shirt. Awesome. Well, Paisley, you can tell your friends and families that that smell will come out in about 2 to 3 weeks. Well, Paisley and Sebastian have done a wonderful job, so let's give them a big round of applause. Well, hopefully by now it is obvious that the health and well-being of our dolphins is our #1 priority here at the Gulfarium. But we don't just care about our resident dolphins, we care about their ocean counterparts as well. You see, Atlantic bottlenose dolphins are not listed as an endangered species, but they do still face a wide variety of different threats in their natural habitats. These include things such as ingestion of foreign objects, the entanglement of fishing gear, propeller strikes, and even unfortunately the intentional harm from humans. This is why I must remind you it is actually illegal to try to approach any marine mammals within 50 yards in their natural habitat, to try to touch or feed them, or even just follow them in your jet skis, kayaks, and boats. These include animals such as dolphins, whales, seals, sea lions, and even manatees. So let us all be heroes and observe wildlife from a safe and respectful